Hi. I have decided to make a little video series on creativity. I have started working on a creativity handbook. And the reason why I started working on that was because when I was a little bit more addicted to my screen time, I saw a few videos with lots of comments underneath, and the videos were of young people who were incredibly talented artistically. In their videos, they would express that they could draw anything that they saw, they could replicate someone else's art really, really well. They were very talented and skillful. But what they lacked was the ability to come up with their own ideas. I have my own thoughts around that because I have been thinking a lot about that. I feel like we're losing our ability to be creative due to the fact that there is not a study. Someone can Google it for me. Ask AI. But I absolutely believe that the part of our brain that develops that sort of creativity requires us to be quite bored. And it's in that boredom that in that space, it needs space. And it's in that boredom that we actually come up with our ideas, in that quiet space. But these days, as soon as we're bored, we pick up our phone. I'm guilty of it. I might be worse than anybody else. And for that reason, I am stopping myself from picking up my phone, and I'm picking up my pencils instead and paintbrushes. And not only has it had a big impact on productivity, it's had a big impact on my mental health. Because as we know, when we are scrolling on social media or on our phones, we are getting very cheap dopamine hits. It's like getting junk takeaway food to fill us up. And we don't feel very good at the end of it. And we don't know why. We do know why, because it's junk. What I'm proposing is that for those who are creatively inclined, or people who would like to be more creative and just don't know how, this is for you. For the people who are already very skilled but don't know how to translate their skills into original ideas, I am going to be doing a little series. It's going to include ways of finding ideas as well as skill building. And I want to do it starting from the absolute basics. So if you're someone who's thought, I just want to, when you see someone doing something creative and you just think, I'd really love to try that, but I'm scared of failing, I'm not very good, I wouldn't know what to do, and I don't know where to start. Well, here's where you start. Okay, so I'm going to talk to you about how to begin a creative practice so that when you stop during your busy day, and I know everybody's busy, and when you sit down for that cup of coffee, instead of picking up your phone to scroll for half an hour, which can sometimes lead to a whole evening on your phone, I'm going to ask you to pick up a pencil or a pen and start drawing what's in front of you. Now let's talk about the very, very basic. Get yourself a sketchbook. A sketchbook is a brilliant place to start because it can be a place where you can draw anything and use it to explore different mediums, different ways of seeing things, to write down ideas and notes, and it is the very first thing that I think you need. So a basic kit to start with is a sketchbook. Now, as you can see, I have millions on the go. You could have an A4 sketchbook like this. If this feels a bit too cumbersome, you can get these quite cheap from Kmart. If you want a better quality one, here's one I ruined earlier. This is from a Greece trip. If you want something smaller, this is also from Kmart. Anko. It is Anko. So Target or Kmart. This is also from Kmart, little watercolor booklet. Now, here's a couple of things I want to say about sketchbooks. I have some very good quality sketchbooks. This is one very good quality sketchbook. The thing about a good quality watercolor book here, this is the only thing I've done in it. And I've stopped because I'm so afraid of messing it up. I'm so afraid of messing it up. And perfection kills creativity. Perfection kills creativity. So you are much better off getting yourself a cheaper book, and that you do not mind doing all sorts of random things in. No one's going to see it, and that's the beauty of it, unless you show them. Let's talk about pencils. People tend to buy their kids in school HB pencils, and they're good for writing. They're very hard, a hard lead in the pencil, and it's fine for writing. It's terrible for drawing. You need a little bit of softness in your pencil. So as you go through, a 2B is the hardest of the soft pencils, and it's easier to control. It's not as smudgy. And you can go to 4B, up to 6B. There's probably more. I don't think I've ever gone beyond a 6B. 6B can get quite smudgy because it's very soft. I recommend, if you're hard on cash, just get a 2B. Get a 2B pencil and a razor and a sharpener, and you're away, okay? Once you get started and you're really into it, you can get fine liners. There's a whole bunch that you can buy, fine liners. So we're just going to start with a pencil, a 2B pencil, a sharpener, and an eraser, and a sketchbook. Let's talk about what you can do in your sketchbook. Now, I have a tendency to start a new sketchbook for every new idea I have, it's not very good. But so for example, I never get to show people this. This is my Greece sketchbook. I kept this the whole time I was traveling in Greece in 1996. And it becomes a bit of a diary. It tells you, so there's my friend Ra. She went to Greece with me. Oh, I went to Greece with her. There's two cats that used to sit in the town centre. I called them Skinny and Clark Gable. I gave them names, Skinny and Clark Gable. And just sort of sitting out, looking at things. I had a little bit of that was me drawing myself on the beach. Okay, so you can use it for traveling. And I'm going to talk more about getting inspiration from traveling a little while. You can use it just for jotting down ideas. This one is I use for coming up with workshop ideas, and I'm going to talk to you about my workshop ideas in a moment. And this is the one I'm keeping right now. I like this one. I'll show you that one. Yeah, that took a while. Okay, I'm drawing plants. I'm at the point now, I am testing colours in here because I'm doing these paintings behind me. So every time I start a painting, I am popping my colours down so I can keep a record of what I've used. Okay, your sketchbook is completely yours to explore, think of new ideas, try new things. Now, I know that in the beginning, that's the hard part, is like, how do I start drawing and how do I start creating? That's not embarrassing, or it's, how are you going to do it? When you get your sketchbook and you turn to your first page and you think, I have no idea what to do. And maybe you feel really insecure about your drawing skills, and maybe you feel, there's just no ideas. And you might even be completely intimidated by a blank page. So here's what I recommend to get you started. I like that. Okay, here's what I recommend. On your very first page, I want you to divide up your page into random squares, okay, and rectangles. Just divide up your page. I'm going to break this page down into different shapes. And because I have now broken that white page kind of scaries, and it's no longer perfect, no longer a perfect white page, I'm not as scared to do something on here. In each square, I'm going to choose something to draw, and I'm just going to put that one thing in front of me, and that's all I'm going to think about. So if I am just starting out and I want something really simple, I've got a couple of simple things. This is simple also. Things, yeah, with not too, just a bit of shape, but not too detailed. I think we'll go with that, okay? So I'm going to break it down into its basic shape. So I'm just going to look at this one thing. Ignore everything else around it and just look at the shapes. There's an oval shape at the top. It's got lines down the side, and then the oval shape is echoed. This shape here is echoed down here. So I'm just going to start with those basic shapes. Just looking at the shape, sketch it out. Don't worry about mistakes at this point. Practice. It's like someone learning an instrument for the first time. You don't expect to play a symphony, okay? You're just learning a few chords at this point. We're going to get this simple shape down, and it's got a little thingy at the top. So I've got the simple shape. Now I can add in some more confident lines and some shadow. So where I can see some shadow, I can see the shadow from the window, and there's some shadows down the sides. And then we have our very first sketch into our book, okay? This is the thing, if you're just starting, you could just decide to just draw in one of those boxes, and you have your coffee, you have your time out, and you just draw in one box. Just really looking at the shapes, we're not looking at a jar, we're looking at a series of shapes. You could then build up to different shapes. You've got this oval shape, there's the curving lines, there's a little lip down the bottom, and you can build all the way up to something more complicated. Let's say I'm drawing that. Again, it's a series of shapes. I am going to just lightly draw in the top. The sides, they have a slight angle inwards because the bottom of the cup is slightly smaller than the top of the cup. Again, this bottom shape echoes the rim. I'm going to add in a little handle. Now, of course, you might watch this and go, oh, well, that's easy for her to say. But what I do recommend is that you just practice. There's a shadow underneath. There's a shadow going up there. I'm going to do that in there. Okay. Now, obviously, if I was taking a bit more time, I might perfect my angles. I might use my eraser and perfect it. I'm not going to worry about perfecting it right now. I'm just going to draw it in best I can. So that's your first step. Get yourself a sketchbook. Get yourself a pencil. Sit down and just draw simple things. That's number one. Okay, I'll see you next time.